everybody, good morning. This is Jean here from Truelove Quilts for you. As you can see behind me, I have my sample, a sample quilt that I had been working on, and I'd been showing you some bits how I was doing it, but the tutorials to follow are the same exact quilt, but in different colorways, and I'm going to be showing you step-by-step tutorials. Now this bandana quilt is not my pattern, as you know. You must excuse me, I'm making a long story out of this, but it's a very simple pattern, not my pattern, a free pattern, which was on Pinterest from createwithclaudia.com. You can look her up. This is her, her colors were pink, blue, and white, inspired by a southwest sunset. This quilt uses 3 different colors of bandanas to achieve this geometrical look. Now, I have been getting several comments from people overseas in Australia and England and so forth that they're not lucky enough to have perhaps the craft stores or the fabric stores that we have here in America. I'm so sorry about this, because we do have a store in this country called the Hobby Lobby, which is a very nice craft store, and I had gotten my bandanas for 99 cents each, as you know. You don't have to use printed bandanas for this quilt. It's a simple quilt made up with 48 half square triangles in this configuration. That's all. But the beauty of using the 3 bandanas in the same sort of print is the secondary beautiful pattern that the bandanas create. There are only 3. Now this quilt behind me, I use the tie-dye, the sort of the cream, and then the salmon color to make that. In this quilt that I'm going to be doing my tutorials on, I'm using the 3 different colors. I'm using gray, a gray bandana, a white bandana, and a pink bandana, as I was showing you in one of my previous videos. Now the little tutorial here to follow, I'm just showing you how I prepare my actual bandanas. People have been saying, can I just use fabric? Obviously you can. Again, as I said in one of my previous videos, I can't tell you the yardage, but like, for example, the gray in my upcoming video is what this like tie-dye is. You only need 2 pieces of 22-inch square fabric, if that helps. I'm using 2 22-inch square bandanas for my center. For the white or the cream that is on this quilt here, you're going to be needing 6 bandanas, 22-inch square, or 6 pieces of fabric, 22-inch square. And again, I can't figure out the yardage. You have to do that yourself. But you need 6 22-inch square pieces of fabric. And then for the salmon here, I'm using my pink, and you're going to be needing 4 22-inch bandanas or 4 22-inch squares pieces of fabric. Now, again, when I put my camera down, I will be showing you how I have prepared my fabric, how I prepared my bandanas by trimming off the little tiny rolled edge. If you're using fabric, you're obviously just going to be cutting 22-inch squares. And then I'm going to go over to my ironing board in my other room, and I'm going to show you how I actually interfaced my bandanas. The reason I'm doing this is because the bandanas are very thin. It's 100% cotton, but it is very thin fabric. I wanted to give this a little bit more body, a little bit more substance, so the quilt is a little bit stronger. I show you the actual Pellon lightweight interfacing that I used by the yard, or if I show you an alternative, the package, which isn't quite as wide as the yardage. You would actually just have 2 strips just ironed on. We are going to, in my next video, be cutting our 22-inch squares down into the usable size to make our half square triangles. Very simple, but again, with the bandanas, a very, very effective. And go to createwithclaudia.com. The finished size of this quilt is approximately 54 by 72, and of course that's using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. 4 yards of backing fabric, and then of course the batting, but I will be getting to that and I'll be showing you the layout and the cutting in my one of my next videos. Again, thank you so much for following along. I hope you love that quilt. I think it's so pretty, and I do have somebody in mind for this pink, gray, and white quilt. So yeah, I hope you love it, folks. Thanks again, and I hope you're all doing well, keeping safe, and yeah, love from the True Loves. Bye-bye. So the first thing I'm going to do is to trim up my bandanas. All right, these are 22-inch square bandanas from the store, which I have not pre-washed. All right, I have not even ironed them. I will do that later. So what I'm going to do, this is a 22-inch square, and on each side of this square, there's a tiny, tiny, tiny little rolled edge. What we're going to do is we're just going to trim that off. By all means, if you need to use a ruler, but I can just go along very slowly with my rotary cutter and trim off that little tiny, tiny rolled hem. So I have 12 of these bandanas. As you can see, 99 cents. And I will just continue trimming all of my bandanas. Prepare them. So I have all of my bandanas trimmed up, and I'm at my ironing board, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron these really well, having just trimmed the hems off of them. Try to get these lines out of them from the fold, and I will use a little bit of this is just a finish spray, an ironing spray, premium luxe finish, to try to on the right side of the bandanas, try to get these fold lines out as best I can. Now again, this bandana measures approximately 22 inches square. It's not absolutely exact from the manufacturer, but I'm going to flip it upside down. Got another iron. I'm going to do this to all of the bandanas. And what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be lining these, or I'm going to be interfacing these. Now, the two things that I have that I had purchased this Pellon. Okay, this is a Pellon 880F soft shape fusible non-woven interfacing, okay? And that is by the yard, and it comes in about 21 or 22 inch wide pieces. Do you see that? Not quite 22, I don't know, I'm not quite sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm okay with it not completely covering my bandana. But again, if I didn't have that by the yard, I'll do that in a moment. I also have this fusible. This is a Pellon, another Pellon product. This is style, oh boy, I'm PLF, oh no, LFP, oh, I ripped it, FB36. Again, it's a fusible, lightweight interfacing. This is ultra lightweight interfacing. Again, this is a product that has a glue on the one side, which you can feel, which is like a bit nubbly, and then where you actually iron it on the other side. But I'm going to be using my yardage that I got, and again, I want to make sure that I'm on the wrong side of my bandana, and then I'm going to just be cutting off of the yardage. I'm just going to be cutting a piece, as you can see here, to approximately, I'm okay with that, because we're going to be trimming down this bandana anyway. You just come here, and I'll just slice this off to about there. We're going to be trimming off this bandana anyway to 10-inch squares. Put that there. And again, my glue side is down, okay? My gluey side, my nubbly side, is on the wrong side of my bandana. I don't necessarily, though, want to press on this side. I know I can, so I'm just going to flip my whole bandana over, smooth it all out, and I'm going to iron on the right side, the correct side, the pretty side of my bandana, and adhere the fusible interfacing to the back side of my bandana. I'm just going to do this with all of my bandanas. Now, if I was using this fusible interfacing, as you can see, it measures 15 inches by 3 yards. I have quite a few of them. These were on sale for $2.49. So 15 inches would only come up to about here, say, and then I would just absolutely not join it, but just put another piece. I would just use that if I didn't have this wide one. Sort of piece it together, not sewing it, just ironing it on the back. All we're doing is stabilizing this bandana, making it a little bit stronger than the thin fabric it is. We're basically lining this bandana with the fusible interfacing. So I'm going to just continue that. By all means, if you had interfacing the absolute width, 22 inches, by all means you could do that. But because I'm going to be trimming this block anyway, this bandana anyway, and this will be in the seams if at all, I'm okay with just using these, I believe it's 21 inches wide. So I keep saying this is an inexpensive project. The interfacing is a little bit of money. Now, by all means, if you had some old, like an old white sheet, you could just sew it the 22-inch square and sew around the edges, perhaps like with a little bit of spray basting to secure it. I mean, if you want to make your bandanas and your quilt much heavier, without using the fusible interfacing, if you didn't have that, or if you just had an old sheet, the point of doing this is to line the bandana to make it a little bit more substantial and to make it a little bit more not as see-through. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue, and you can see that beautiful piece of bandana all becoming one with my interfacing. As I always say, you want it to become one, no straggly hanging out, because we're going to be trimming these blocks down. So I'll just continue.